Is a ground invasion now inevitable? I mean, there's a lot of concerns in the UK and elsewhere, trying to persuade Israel against a ground invasion. But I think it seems inevitable. I mean, what do you think? In your view, do you think a ground invasion is now inevitable in Rafah?
Yeah, well, it's a very good question that at this stage I think is somewhat difficult to answer. On the one hand, you have a number of analysts who are looking at the current state of the Israeli military, that it's basically treading water, that it has primarily for economic reasons demobilized a lot of the reservists who were called up in October, that the military is increasingly exhausted and much less capable than it was several months ago, and that it really isn't in a position to launch an offensive against a city that hasn't really been entered yet by the Israeli military, and that therefore this should be seen primarily as a threat or a negotiating tactic, and that Israel will continue to pummel Rafah and its surrounding areas from the air with its air force and bombs and missiles and so on. That's one view. And I should add, there's also the complication, of course, of Rafah being situated adjoining the Egyptian border, and as you mentioned, the not so trivial matter that over 1.5 million Palestinians who have been instructed to seek refuge in Rafah by the Israeli military, who've come from the northern and central regions of the Gaza Strip. It's basically a bloodbath, a guaranteed bloodbath waiting to happen. And I think Israeli proclamations that they are establishing humanitarian islands, whatever those may be, in the central Gaza Strip, which is now being bombarded virtually around the clock, I think those statements can be taken with a grain of salt.